Okay, what up ladies and mental gens? It is your favorite Asian robot right here. Hopefully your favorite official content creator for the first Descendant. And today, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to update the Thunder Cage build because several of you guys have asked me about it and we actually found out it's not that horrendous. It's not like it's gonna be super great, but it's not like super horrendous either. So I will showcase all of that to you guys just like I did for Voltea. So for those of you interested in the build, keep watching the video, alright? And before we get started, ladies and gents, if you haven't already done so, please register me as your official content creator. Link is in the video description. Everybody that supports the channel, okay, helps us out because people know where to go. So please register, it's free, and I'll be very grateful if you do so. And before we carry on, if you guys have not yet picked up your own custom waifu pillow, then make sure you check out my link for Anime Dakimakura, alright? I am currently working with Anime Dakimakura pillows, and they are offering 10% off to anyone that uses the code ADPRAR11. Link is in the video description. Please check it out, all right? Let's get started, shall we? Sorry, Nia. I have to toss you aside for a second. Okay, so Thunder Cage. The Thunder Cage is one of the most basic weapons that you are going to get in the game. It is one of your first weapons that you are going to get and use. So a lot of people still have a lot of love for the Thunder Cage. That said, building it up is, well, I have made a build that will work with Gley's build because obviously for Gley, unlimited ammo is how you achieve maximum DPS with any weapon. So I usually build it structured for Gley, but if you want to use it on other characters, I'll explain how you can modify it so that you can get the best bang for your buck. But to start off with, we need to understand the base stats. So, as we always do in these videos, let's take a look at the base stats of the Thunder Cage. The Thunder Cage, oh, actually I don't have to remove my camera for this part. The Thunder Cage is a generally fast-firing SMG, okay? It's got a base firearm critical hit rate of 20% and a base critical hit damage multiplier of 2 times, okay? Its base weak point multiplier is 1.2 times, and its multi-hit damage is 0.1 times. Essentially, the best bang for your buck is going to be crit and weak point. All right, multi-hit does not factor into this, unfortunately, so crit and weak point is the best way to go with this. So now that we understand the base stats, let's start building it up. But before we do, we also have to know the unique ability of the Thunder Cage. For anyone that is not familiar with this, okay, what the Thunder Cage does is that when you defeat an enemy, the defeated enemy will have a set chance to discharge an electric shockwave, which deals additional damage to nearby enemies. When fully upgraded, okay, when you've gotten all 4 copies and you've enhanced the unique ability of the Thunder Cage, you will have a trigger rate of 100%, meaning that anytime any enemy dies, the firearm damage that kills the enemy will be multiplied by 400% and detonate in a 5-meter radius. This radius is not that big, especially when you compare to the Descendants that are pumping out skills everywhere, but it can still be fairly decent for those of you that want a simple AoE gun option, okay? Again, it still cannot compete with skills, but it's not horrendous. Now, in terms of your option rolls as well as your weapon core rolls, let's talk about this. For the Thunder Cage, you are going to have firearm attack. Now, we'll talk about weapon options first because options affect your base, okay? So I went with firearm attack. The options are down the bottom. Firearm attack, weak point damage, firearm critical hit rate, and firearm critical hit damage. This offered me the best bang for my buck, okay? But there is an option. In place of weak point damage, you can go for electric attack, all right? This is because the Thunder Cage base attribute damage, if you scroll up, is electric attack. This was added in the recent patch, so it no longer just does firearm attack, it also has 9,176 electric attack at baseline, all right? Now, in order to enhance that, here are the cores that you are going to use. For your free slot, we are going to have fire rate, and for the green cerulean slot, we're going to have fire rate. For the yellow rutile slot, we are going to have sprint speed, and for the orange malachite slot, we have firearm attack, all right? For the almandine slot, which is the red slot, we are going to have firearm critical hit damage. You can also go for firearm critical hit rate, but I personally believe that the firearm critical hit rate that you will have with this is enough, okay? Even though it's only like 20, 30%, I know it sucks, but I decided to pump up the damage multiplier so that when it does critically hit, considering the sheer amount of rounds you're going to be spitting out, when it does hit, it's going to hit hard. So that was the ideology behind this. So I went with critical hit damage rather than critical hit rate. If you test something else and you find that it has produced better results than what I'm about to show you, then feel free to let me know, all right? I'm always open to information, whether it be a change in the build that can, prove that this thing will outperform, all right? So please conduct the same test. For example, later on, we're going to go to VEP Stage 9 and conduct the test for this like we did with the Voltia, and you will actually see this function fairly well. Okay, now in terms of the modules that you're going to use, all right, you want to use the regular shot loadout, which is basically just my general loadout. So how do you actually build this up? I'm going to remove my green screen, my cam for this, and I'll talk about it. First, you start with the base. Rifling reinforcement and action and reaction are standard for increasing your firearm attack. Then, you will want to have two elemental modules, electric enhancement and electric priority. This is to enhance the electric damage dealt by the Thunder Cage. The Thunder Cage also does not come with a baseline increase for its electric attack, so take note of that, but fire rate obviously is much more helpful. So in order to increase the electric attack as much as possible, we use electric priority. For Gley, she doesn't need to worry about reloading, yeah? Bullet integration is next for enhancing damage as well as firearm critical hit damage. Then you will want better insight and better concentration. This will increase your firearm critical hit rate and your firearm critical hit damage. This takes the total multiplier for firearm critical hits up to 3.896, okay, which is pretty good. All right, and the firearm critical hit rate we have is 27.8%. Now, in terms of your fire rate up, you want to have this as well. Everything that increases fire rate is good. You also want to have one weak point sight to sort of enhance the weak point multiplier to 1.6. And last but not least, sharp precision shot will help increase your base and your fire rate as you ramp up. This will help you deal with elites, especially in Void Erosion Purge. And we are going to be testing this out in Void Erosion Purge Stage 9, where the enemies are weak to electric, the same test that we did for the Voltia, all right? So take note of this. For the Gley build, if you guys don't know it, don't worry, I'll drop a separate video on this because several people have asked me, hey, will you rejig your Gley build? And of course, you're going to want the critical loadout for this. So, bada bing, bada boom, we are ready to go. Looks like everything is good. Let's double check the stats. Now, the final stats will differ a bit because if you also think about RK tuning and all that, your final critical hit rate is actually going to be 32.54%, and your final critical hit damage multiplier is actually 6.8. So just take note of this, that your final stats will differ a little bit, yeah? Okay, let's get started. Now, for this demonstration, just so that it's a quick one, I don't think you guys need a normal farming demonstration, so we're just going to go straight to the VEP. All right, this way you can see the comparison with the Voltia. The Voltia was able to clear in about 4 minutes, 54 seconds. We will showcase whether or not we can clear in a similar amount of time. Okay, and before we go in, just double check the inversion reinforcer. Yep, everything's good. Okay, we're ready, So let me show you the Thunder Cage in action. And for those of you that are interested, you can build it up like this. It will work just fine. Oh, and at the end of this demonstration, I'll explain to you how you can vary it if you need to use it on other characters, all right? I will attempt to give you guys a minimal sacrifice in terms of damage, but I will explain it as best I can. Okie dokie day. So when you first start out, you guys know what to do. Now this one, unlike the Voltia, you don't necessarily need to aim for the elite, all right? But just kill whatever comes your way anyway, and try to aim for the heads of the elites. All right, along the way, you will kill plenty of enemies like so, and you're good to go. All right. But these guys don't think too hard about it. When I see the elite, I let myself go, and I just blast it down. Just like that. And same thing here. All right. I say, you don't have to think too hard about it. Start blasting. And you don't have to aim down sights unless you're aiming for the elite's head. Alright, so take note of that. I usually just hip fire like so. And when you're ready to aim for the head, there you go. Okay. As you can see, the AoE does sort of help you take out like the trash mobs, but it's not really going to do much for the elites because that's based on how many bullets you're spamming at them. So just take note of that. The AoE is just to help you a little bit with clearing around the target. Alright, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to absolutely annihilate everything with it. Alright, most of the time you just want to spam at the elites, let the bullets do their job, and the AoE can take care of the trash. Alright, try to keep its head within the large circle, because this weapon does have a good bit of spread. It's not inaccurate, it doesn't have much recoil, but yeah, the spread is the big issue here. You don't want to have too much of this going on. Like I said, try to aim for the head, let it ramp up. Okay, there you go, there you go. Submachine guns, kind of like beam rifles, you can reload cancel roughly around 70%-ish. 65 to 70%. Well, it's a bit more difficult to measure, but yeah, that's about it. Aim for good old Claudia's head. There you go. Okay, clean and clear. Let's go see the results. Now, for those of you that sat through all that, you want to know how to vary it for other characters. Yeah, 4 minutes 6 seconds. So it is much faster than the Voltia, which means that this thing technically in terms of damage outperforms the Voltia, especially in both damage and AoE. However, I have noticed that if in regular farming, it actually does a little bit worse for some weird reason. So if you're in like the 400% missions, the Voltia actually does a little bit better, weirdly enough. But yeah, for VEP, this one actually outperforms if you happen to be on stage 9. Comparing apples to apples, this one versus Voltia, the Thunder Cage does a bit better. So I do have to retract my previous statement saying that the Thunder Cage was worse than Voltia. Now, last little thing, if you want to modify this for other characters, there's 2 things you can sacrifice. Weak point sight and bullet integration. What I would recommend is, weak point sight and sharp precision shot, but I don't really recommend those because here's what's going to happen. If you sacrifice weak point sight, what you are going to need to put in is the expand weapon charge, which will increase the rounds per magazine. This will take your 26 up to about 38. 38, 39. Okay, that's one way to do things. And then the other thing is that sharp precision shot is usually replaced with firing Fiesta, giving you limitless ammo for roughly 3 seconds every 15 seconds whenever you reload. This is generally how you would do things, but I hate losing the sharp precision shot bonus because that's what actually makes this viable. So if you really want to use this weapon, I would really recommend using it with Gley. If you have to use it on other characters, take note you have to expand the magazine, otherwise you just end up reloading and reloading and reloading. But if you have to, sacrifice weak point sight. If you can avoid it, don't sacrifice sharp precision shot. But if you have to, then go with it because you're with the small magazine size, you're not going to be able to take full advantage of it anyway. So take note of that. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys will like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. All right? If you guys would like to support my content further, don't forget to register as a supporter. Don't forget to listen to my music on SoundCloud. And of course, order yourself a custom waifu pillow. Last but not least, let me thank all of July's top supporters. These people are amazing. Thank you guys so much for keeping my channel running this July. All right, I'm going to be on a 2-day break, so I will be away for 2 days, meaning I'm coming back on Wednesday, Monday, and Tuesday I'll be away. All right, this is in my community post as well. But please don't ask if I'm dead. I'm probably not dead. Unless I don't come back on Wednesday, then please send out a search party because I might be dead. But I'm most likely not dead, so don't worry about me. I'll be back on Wednesday, bringing back that full high energy. So look forward to it, and I'll see you guys on the next one, okay? Don't do anything weird while I'm gone, and catch you later. Bye!